Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Robin Pashby.
And then Dr. Kelly Donahue.
Welcome back to COVID Conversations. Kelly and I were talking about something that's been coming up with clients. I think just sort of been present with us because there's all this pressure to feel like we should be productive during this time when, we've had several months at home now for most people. And I think the anxiety and stress level has been really high, yet still we feel like, oh, we're not, making enough progress on our goals or not getting to some destination. And so I have been thinking a lot about this idea of how can we reframe that? How can we help ourselves and our clients really focus on building habits instead of building something like fitness or working to weight loss? So instead of thinking about the destination, think about the road to get there. I have been trying to integrate a stretching routine into my day most days. I just realized that my office chair in my home isn't as good as my one in my office. My back has been achy, those things. So I've been thinking, okay, stretching every day makes me feel good. But every day I don't have time to do a 45-minute yoga class. Some days I have time to do a 5-minute, or 2-minute cat-cow routine on my office floor. And just sort of focusing on the idea that every day I'm going to just check in with the habit that I'm trying to develop makes me feel successful at the end of every day, independent of how many calories I burn or how much fitness I gained or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. That totally makes sense. And I think that so many of us struggle with cognitive distortions like all or nothing thinking. So, what you're talking about really counters that because it's not as if, unless you do a 45-minute yoga class, it's not worth it. You're changing the whole mindset. You're shifting that to say, I'm just going to focus on the process. And what I love about that is you also said, and how it makes you feel, right? Because we know that that's one of the best way to anchor what best ways to anchor new habits is to really focus on how it feels in our body and emotionally how we're feeling from doing that thing. Because the negative stuff is easy. It's easy to form those habits. But the more positive things are subtler in terms of getting them to become a habit. So what you're doing and focusing on how you're feeling is helping to cement that.
Yes. And I think what I realized is that for so many of us, my clients, as we are talking, I realized that people even who say like, oh, I'm having so much trouble developing a healthy habit right now, I'm really struggling with developing a healthy habit. I've sort of realized that there's a couple main reasons that I have become aware of that might be contributing to that. So number one is the focus on the goal. So if you are only thinking I need to lose weight or I need to improve my fitness, this is where my New England, Maine upbringing comes to mind. I kept thinking you can't get there from here because I know it's so embarrassing, but because you can't get to fitness without developing habits. You can't get to weight loss without focusing on habits. You can't even get to calm or to health without developing habits. And so why not focus on the habits and know that the goal will eventually come into view if you're focused on the habits that you're doing. So I think focusing on the outcome and not the process was one barrier. And then the other thing I was thinking in terms of what gets in people's way of developing healthy habits, like you said, are just the focus on having to be perfect about doing it like the right way, that there's a right or wrong way to have a healthy habit. And if we give ourselves some compassion and recognize that something is better than nothing just about always, then we can move forward.
Totally. And, I think it's important to still have an end goal in mind. Like Robin wants to be more flexible and not be in pain, but that's not her main goal. And she's setting up a system that she can monitor herself and check in with how she's doing on the system to get there. And the system is really the habits and the little bits of stretching each day. So it's like looking at the system that you're developing to support this larger goal and then making the system the reward.
Completely. In fact, I was thinking, if I don't do the stretching for the 3 minutes or whatever, I'm actually still developing a habit. It's just not a habit that supports what I want. So if I choose to use that 5 minutes that I have to like open Facebook or to surf Instagram or to whatever, then what I'm actually working on is developing a habit of checking social media between clients or when I have a break instead of taking care of my back pain. So like habits are happening one way or another. It's about,
Yep.
I think I'm trying to be a little more intentional about catching them as I go. And I hope that our conversation today helps encourage you to pay attention to what habits and routines are sneaking up on you as this time at home extends, and see if you can't try to intervene on yourself even once or twice a day.
We'll check back in with Robin in a couple weeks and see how
Yes.
she's doing with her habit.
Fingers crossed. Bye.